You guys aren't seeing this anywhere else other than the fucking ultimate market professionals. All right, so I'll do a little Mr. Producer. Oh shit, that's hilarious. You guys can't see my screen. Say something, motherfuckers. Here we go. So I got a chart on TradingView that I've got pulled up. Titled it here. This is the Treasury General account. Okay, this is the TGA, and this is what it looks like. So the Treasury General account, I want to see what kind of signal is in this chart. Does this actually show us when things might start pumping? Is there a correlation between the emptying of this account and alt season and crypto? Do things start to pump? Well, you may not be surprised to hear there is confluence. Okay, so let me show you something very interesting here. So this is locally where we're at on Bitcoin. We can talk about that later in the stream if you guys want to take a look at it. We popped back down out of the range. There you go. So let me show. Let's do it like this, actually. And let's add Bitcoin down below. Okay. Now we can do line. And then let's put this in log. Okay. So what kind of confluence is there between altcoins? Let's do it with altcoins. Let's change this to others. Hold on, whoops. Let's put others down below so we can take a look at what altcoins do, excluding top 10. Okay, here we go. Check this shit out. Look at this fucking signal right here. Okay. So what happens to the market cap of others as this Treasury General account starts to get emptied, meaning that they're putting liquidity into the markets? Well, we saw it spike here in March of 2020. What was March 2020? COVID. Okay, so you get COVID. So you get this big increase in the size of the Treasury account. You get a fucking 5x on their balance, which was $1.4 trillion difference. So that was 1.81 trillion. Let's mark that out. Okay. So the Treasury account gets up to, oops, let me delete this one. Does a 5x, gets up to about $1.82 trillion. Okay. So we get this peak in July of 2020. Then slowly you see it start to nuke. Okay, interesting. So what happens whenever this general account starts to nuke and they start to deplete their money and put it into markets to stimulate the economy? So the Fed starts spending this money. You get a big nuke. And then what do you see happen on this nuke? Look at this. Huge pump on altcoins. That was alt season last cycle. That was 2021 bull run. Okay, interesting. So that does match up. What does that mean? Well, let's take a look at some timestamps. So at its lowest point, it was October of 21. This second drop was right here in December of 21. Interesting. December of 2021 was the peak of others market cap, which is altcoins. That was the peak, the last part of our alt season, last bull run, last cycle in crypto. So clearly there's some type of signal there. Whenever the Fed depleted their RGA, or the TGA, the Treasury General account, that money clearly entered in financial markets after stimulating the economy and pumped altcoins. That's when you got your alt season. As this was coming down, right? As this Treasury account was getting depleted and we had this first, drop down. This was April. This was June. I mean, this is confluent with our tops and altcoins, right? You see, as this is nuking, altcoins are ripping, right? It's very obvious. So now, if we take a look at where we're at here, locally, Okay, so clearly alt season happened whenever this account was getting drained. So where are we at locally? So we have less in the account than what we had in COVID. But right now we're at $681 billion in this TGA. So what do we think is going to happen as the Fed is now finally forced to start depleting this account? Okay, hold on a second. So let's say we get this nuke back down over here. And they start to deplete this. Well, I'm going to expect altcoins do something like this. Curl back up and go to new all-time highs. And so we look at this and we say, is there signal in this? Is there alpha in this? Yeah, because if this money is leaving these accounts and they're injecting this liquidity into markets are going to benefit from this. This is more money in the markets, appreciation of assets, et cetera, et cetera. It clearly happened during COVID last time. So that's inherently bullish. Even though we're not done with QT necessarily, this is essentially a form of injecting liquidity into the markets to stimulate the economy. So that's huge because that's also lining up with what other indicator we've been paying attention to. The GLI, the Global Liquidity Index. Okay? So the Global Liquidity Index, just as a refresher for anybody that's new, is how much liquidity is getting put into the markets, an index of all the largest world banks, all the largest world reserves. So the U.S. Reserve, the U.S. Federal Reserve, the Japanese bank, the European bank. As those banks reduce interest rates and inject more liquidity into markets, the GLI is going to continue to go up. So let's see if I have it on here. Okay. So look what's happening to GLI. Let's actually look at it on Bitcoin. Okay. Let me hide these drawings real quick. Okay. So GLI is also doing what we want it to do. Okay. We've been paying attention to this recently. So here's Bitcoin down below. Okay. And then here's the Global Liquidity Index. Since we've been tracking it, we've had meat sticks. Okay. Global liquidity is going up right now. This was the previous all-time high on global liquidity. If we can get the GLI to break out to new all-time highs again, in confluence with the Treasury General account getting depleted, with lower interest rates, with QT ending later this year, possibly QE, everything is setting up for an incredibly bullish rest of 2025. Okay, so I really need you to understand the market conditions that we're heading for. Okay, everything looks bad right now. Everybody thinks the shit's over, cycle's done, there's not going to be an alt season, etc. Incorrect. All the catalysts are lining up for an incredibly bullish 2025 and a massive alt season, the alt season that we've actually been waiting for. Because you get GLI to go to new all-time highs, okay? Look what happened the last push up on the GLI on this index. Okay, look what happened last time. Let me do it like this, okay? So the last time global liquidity had a blow off top, okay, was here. You get this blow off top right here. So this was the most liquidity that was ever injected into the markets by these world banks. Okay, the Fed, Bank of Japan, European Bank. Okay, whereas right here. What happened right after this GLI started pumping? Bitcoin rips. Altcoins rip. Markets rip hard. Makes sense. More liquidity, higher prices. Okay.